In this short video, we'll look at how to set up some global parameters like the units and object snaps. We'll take a look at saving and closing a project, specifically with multiple windows open. And finally, we'll look at some view commands and display options. So first of all, let's look at some global parameters. If we go to the Manage tab, we can look at some parameters on the Settings panel that act globally. That is, it's not a view-specific parameter, but this will affect all of the parameters in the project. For example, if we go to the Object Styles tool, we will get a dialog box that looks like the Visibility Graphics override. But instead of being view-specific, this will affect how an object is viewed throughout the entire project. If we were to change the walls to a very thick line and maybe change the color to red, then whichever walls we drew from here on out in any view would be very thick and would be red. I'm going to cancel that because I do not want that to happen. Also, we can look at the units. If we want to set units, whether it's the imperial system versus metric, we can go back to our Manage tab, into our Settings panel, and go to Project Units. Here we can change things like length, area, volume, angle, slope, currency, and the mass density. Let's take a look at the length. Right now, the format is feet and fractional inches, and it rounds to the nearest 1/32. Well, you can change that from anywhere to the nearest foot all the way down to the 1/256th. Also, you can change that to decimal feet, or meters, or centimeters, or meters and centimeters. And again, that is a global parameter. The last global parameter we'll take a look at are object snaps. Again, on our Manage tab, on our Settings panel, we can find the snaps or the object snaps setting. Again, this is globally, and what this does is it sets which snaps you want to enable as you're modeling your building. By default, Revit comes with all of the snaps selected. I personally like to keep it this way. And keep in mind, you can always override for a specific command the snaps off. So by typing SO, this is the hotkey, you can turn the snaps off for that one instance. You can take a look at all the hotkeys if you want to override all of the object snaps and only select which one you do the hotkey for. For instance, SE would have your cursor snap to the endpoint, and it would bypass all of the other ones. Let's take a quick look at that. If I had a wall, and I was going to model another wall, you can see with the red X that it's going to snap to anywhere along that wall. But as I get to the middle, it'll turn to a triangle, and you can see that that is snapping to the midpoint. Well, if I wanted to go to the end point, I could just get near the end point and it'll turn into the square, and that is my end point. Or I could type in SE, and even if I'm near the middle, you can see that it's going to snap from the end. And that is because I typed in SE. We'll click there. And now, if I want to create this wall near this end of the other wall, but not snap to it, but I can't have Revit stop snapping to it, that's when I can type in SO, and I can get as close as I want to it, and it will not snap. But you can see as soon as I click, now it wants to snap again. If we have created a project and we have made some walls like so, and we have, while working on our project, opened up here in our project browser in east elevation. That's what those walls look like from the east side. And maybe we have opened up a window by double clicking level 2. And that's what we see from level 2 because those walls are actually 2 levels tall. And maybe one last time, we open up the south elevation again by double clicking in our project browser. And you can see that it's south not only because it's bolded here, but you can see it up at the top right here, elevation south. And finally, maybe we opened a three-dimensional view to see those walls like this. Here's a helpful tip. If you want to rotate the model around, you can hold the Shift button down and press the wheel on your mouse, and that'll allow the model to move and rotate. So now we have many windows open. We can only see one window open, that is the active window. But if we type in WT, that's window tile, you can see that we have 5 windows open. We can click into each one and type in ZE for zoom extents and see what each view shows us. Now, if we wanted to work on just one view, we can always maximize that window. ZE, zoom extents. Also, if you just push in the wheel on your mouse, you can pan. So again, we now have 5 windows active, but we only see one open. Now, you can imagine if we have a large project and we have many windows open, that depending on the speed of your computer, it might slow things down. Well, you can type in CW for close windows, and that will close all the hidden windows, all the windows that you cannot see that are behind this active one. And we can check that again by typing in WT window tile, and you can see that this is the only window active. Let's go ahead and open up a few more windows again. Maybe a floor plan, and an elevation, and another elevation. Well, WT window tile, we have 4 open. Let's maximize one. If we were going to close out, we were done working on this project and we're now going to close out, we can start closing these windows with the X in the right hand corner of each active window. And you can work your way through. That's 1 window close, that's 2 window close, and if you remember, we had 4 open, so we have 2 left, and we'll close 1 more, and we've got this one. When we get to the last one and we try to close it, Revit asks if we want to save the changes. So Revit knows that it's about to close the entire project because the last active window, when you try to close it, if there are no other windows open, that will close the project. So Revit prompts you and asks you if you want to save the project. I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to save it right now and I don't want to close out. The other way to close out of a project, say you've been working on details all day long and you have 15 different windows open. You can go to your File tab and come down to Close. And that will close all of the projects and all the windows, and it will close out of Revit all at once. Now when you try to close out of Revit in that manner, it will prompt you and ask you again if you want to save the changes to that project. The last thing I would like to discuss in this video are some different display options. That is, how are we going to see the model as we work on it? Let's go ahead and create a quick building with some walls. We'll go up to level 2 and we'll create a roof. Just like that. And if we look at it in 3D, we can see that we have 4 walls and a roof. Well, if we want to work on this model in 3 dimensions, but we need to look on the inside, there are different ways we can do that. One, we could highlight the roof and just type in HH, and that hides it temporarily. If we type in HR, the roof comes back. The different display options are located here on our display option bar, and it's this cube right here. If you click on it, you can see all the different ways in which you can view this model. The first one is wireframe. That is, all of the solid objects are transparent. You see the edges, but you can see right through them. Next is hidden line. That is a black and white but solid view of the model. You cannot see through the objects. Next is shaded, where you can actually see colors and shadows. Not shadows, but it's shaded. After that is something that they call consistent colors. Sometimes the shaded view becomes too dark and it's hard to see, and so the consistent color takes away all of the shading. Realistic. It's not really a very good image for realistic on this screen. But if we turn one of these walls into a brick wall, you can start to see how it actually looks realistic. And finally, the last one is ray trace. I won't click on that because it takes a while to generate, but it makes the realistic look even more real. If I type in ZE, I get to zoom extents, and we get back.